Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight TV edition. I am Peter, and I am joined as always by Tim. Hey Tim,
Hello.
welcome to the show. How are you?
Pleasure to be here.
That's a lie.
I'm okay.
That's also a lie. You're miserable, life is horrible, and this is awful. This is awful to be here. We talk
Yeah,
about.
the audience doesn't need to know that, though.
They can tell. You're
Yeah.
trying to hit. It's a valiant effort, Tim,
Mhm.
but they can tell. So, yeah, we work our way through horror TV shows on this. Particularly right now, we're doing Tales from the Crypt, the anthology show from the early 90s, HBO. This is going to be season 3, episode 7. It's called The Reluctant Vampire. Full spoilers
Mhm.
for the episode, as always. This one has a, again, notable cast. Malcolm McDowell is the lead character. We also have George Wendt from Cheers, might know him as Norm. We also have Michael Berryman from Hills Have Eyes, who I was delighted to see.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So the plot of this one is that Malcolm McDowell is a vampire, aptly named Mr. Longtooth. They couldn't have done whatever. So Longtooth, who, as the title would suggest, is trying to not be his killing vampire ways. He has a night job. He's a night sort of security
Watchman.
guard, yeah, in a blood bank of all places. And he's stealing some of the blood, of course, from himself to live without killing anyone. But they start noticing blood's going missing. Meanwhile, he maybe has to kill again, and it leads, police, and also Michael Berryman's character, Rupert Van Helsing, who is hunting down vampires, puts him in the sort of crossfire and all the rest of it. So that's what the episode is about. Tim, after a
Yeah.
few weeks of not being so hot in the episodes, did you enjoy The Reluctant Vampire?
um, there's some okay stuff in it, but overall, I wasn't crazy about it.
My God, we're going to please you one of these weeks, shit.
It definitely was one of the more comedic ones. I would say they're going more for comedy in this, which there were some funny parts that made me laugh, but overall, it was almost like too silly and too on the nose, I guess. I mean, like you said, the guy's name is Longtooth, and
Donald.
his fang.
Donald Longtooth.
And yeah, his fangs are like popping out like all the time, and then he's hiding them almost like it almost felt like a sitcom or something,
I'd go one step further. I'd say it felt like a pantomime. It felt like a thing you take your kids to go see.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kind of felt like that. The way people were popping out into frame and the ridiculous of the fangs. I liked it more than you did. I actually, I have some problems. Honestly, Malcolm McDowell's wig might have almost ruined the entire thing for me because it was the most
Right.
stupid looking fake wig I've ever seen in my life.
Certainly.
And it just didn't fit him. He didn't look like it. Because people wear wigs and it looks fine. Like you get there's such a thing as a good wig, but it just didn't suit his head at all, and he looked silly. But as a silly episode, as a sort of really goofy kind of just fun time, I liked a lot of the ideas. I like the idea that this vampire, so he takes all the blood, right, and then Norm from Cheers is like, oh, this place is going to have to shut down, where everyone's going to lose their jobs, and then he goes out and starts killing people at night to steal all their blood so that he can fill up all the blood bank again, as if no one's going to ask where all this extra blood just came from. And he does that to say, I'm like, oh, some interesting ideas. Do you know what it kind of is? It feels like it's like a prototype for what we do in the shadows. It's almost like there's like a little bit of that in there.
Yeah, I could see some of that. Actually, I think that was one of the funniest things was George Wendt's character. It just made me really question how exactly is a blood bank run. Like, I don't
Not
think
like
it's
this.
just
I'm pretty sure it's not like this time.
they pretty much just treat it like a normal bank, but for blood.
They do.
It's like he's
it's-
mad the blood's not getting interest or
It's
something.
almost an actual vault.
Yeah.
The blood. It feels like the lobby of a bank, and then there's like a back room which is like the vault where the blood's kept. It's kind of.
I don't think they make money off of blood. Like that's what they made it seem like was going on or something. I don't know. I could be totally wrong if any managers of a blood bank want to write in and let us know, but I'm pretty sure this isn't how it was run.
Yeah. Aye, that was weird. Nah, there was things I liked about it. I liked his. Well, I didn't. His whole thing where he wants to sexually abuse the the secretary. I wasn't so keen on it. That felt really
No,
dated. But she has a
yeah,
crush on the vampire, and he kind of feels the same. But he's a vampire, and he feels awkward about it, and he's trying to
yeah,
hide what he is, and so on. But the what I liked about Norm from Cheers, I'm just going to keep calling
mhm,
him that because
that's fair.
Mr. Crosswhite's just not that interesting. But Norm from
Yeah,
Cheers has a ring to it. Uh, but when he like sort of the twist being that he actually realizes that he is a vampire, and he wants to
hmm
blackmail him into stealing as much blood as possible so that his blood bank can thrive. Again, I'm not sure that the people actually make profit off blood that gets donated, but
yeah,
what, whatever, right? So
fair.
that's what he wants to do. He wants him to go out
hmm
and collect blood for him,
hmm
or he will shoot him with his squirt gun that's full of holy water.
Uh,
But then Sally, the secretary, shows up and is like,
mhm.
"No, I knew he was a vampire. You will not hurt him."
Yeah,
And,
it was a little
and
out of nowhere.
yeah, honestly, that whole scene I thought was quite amusing though. Like that's
Yeah,
where it really came to life for me. Was it was like, oh, everyone knows he's a vampire, and it's actually this
hmm
weird, almost
well,
goofy, like I don't know, Shakespeare-esque thing where everything's colliding together in the last act.
yeah. Like again, I would go back to it feels very much like a sitcom. Like
Hmm.
you know, someone brought a dog home or something and is trying to hide it, and then in the end, like it gets revealed, and everyone's like, "Oh, I knew all along." Blah blah. Yeah, like
Yeah,
some
yeah.
type of quick last minute wrap everything up. I will say though, I did like the ending with Van Helsing.
I like the
Uh,
ending. Yeah, so let's go back and talk about Berham as Van Helsing. We hear him on the radio early on, and then he shows up to the police station, and then the principal from Breakfast Club is the detective. So another
right.
face
Yeah,
that I
that's where that
recognised.
guy's from.
Yeah, and he goes he's like, oh, I know of vampires. There'll be blood in the streets. You have to listen to me. And obviously, by the end of the episode, he's like sort of convinced, and they come to Longtooth's house. But of
Mhm.
course, the scene with Norm ended with Norm
Mhm.
getting knocked out and put in the casket, and then
Mhm.
Longtooth and Sally hide,
Yeah.
and so the policeman and Van Helsing come up, open the casket, and it's Norm, and he starts to
Mhm.
wake up, and he's like, "No, it's not me. It's not me. I'm not a vampire." And Van Helsing just puts a stake through his heart anyway, and
Yeah.
the cop's just like, "What? He's alive!" And it's like, "It had to be done. It had to be done." And he just walks off. And I love how the cop just leaves the room. I was like,
Oh yeah.
even if he believes that this was a vampire, this guy just killed,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You would still have to process it and have it'd still be a crime scene. There's a dead body here, so this has to be
Mhm.
documented. But he just walks out of
Yeah.
the room confused. It's a really like we say, silly, goofy, or optimal words for this episode. Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't think
I
it's
think.
not entertaining though. I think
Mhm.
there's some merit to it, and a really sort of slapstick kind of way.
Yeah, there were some entertaining parts. Just I think maybe my problem might have been something that you hit on a little earlier. It does kind of feel like a play, like um, when the cops like do show up and they go like, "Quick, we gotta hide," and then they just kind of hide behind the couch. That it feels so
Hmm.
like,
It feels like something they could do
oh,
on stage, like
yeah,
because the whole thing takes place in like 2 or 3 sets. You could
mhm,
do it on stage. You could almost imagine sitting in the audience and watching them hide behind the couch and let
yeah,
the other actors come in and do the cop stuff in front of them. Uh,
exactly,
I thought it was interesting though. The vampire is the hero, and the because he still actually kind of likes killing. Like we get the sense that he
yeah,
does enjoy it as well. It's not just that he's like feels bad about it, but it's actually Norm from Cheers who's the scumbag who gets his comeuppance. He's the one who gets the sort of dark ending where he gets killed.
yeah,
Whereas the vampire, and now Sally, who's going to become a vampire, get to live happily ever after.
yeah. And I think a lot of the killing scenes were pretty poorly done too. Like it's basically just, hey, fangs. All right, I'm biting on the neck, and you really there isn't a lot of gore or blood or effects in this
No,
episode.
I'll kind of argue with you. Not that I don't think they were effective kill scenes, but I think
Mhm.
they weren't going for a typical kill. Like, cause you see the scene where he kills the guy in the alley,
Yeah,
the
I
mugger.
thought that was terribly done.
Well, see,
There was like really bad ADR
oh
on
no,
that.
it was terrible, but I think it was played for humor because the way he was sort of holding him and kind of like squeezing him to get more blood out was kind of funny to
Yeah.
me. Like I think what it was aiming for, it was kind of hitting. It was aiming for this kind of awkward comedy. It was kind of like again what we do in the show. It's kind of like if a vampire was on The Office and he was like
Yeah.
awkwardly trying to like drain someone's blood. That's kind of what it was. That's what it was kind of going for.
I don't know, it didn't really work for me. Is
That's fair, but
is like it just seemed like I can get that they're going for that, but it just kind of came off as like a little cheap for me.
oh, it does feel cheap. I'm not disputing that it feels cheap, but I think you're in a real streak of negativity, Tim. I think when was the last episode you liked?
I have to go back and look at the titles. I mean, quickly off the top of my head, I loved the TV episode where they're going into the haunted house. I don't know if that was a
Well, that
while
was season
ago though.
two. Was it
Yeah.
any in season three? You like Carrie and Death, I think, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that one was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you've been kind of rough in the last four now.
I think they've all. I think a big problem too is they've gotten longer. I think that started with this season. Which, if you're
Hmm.
gonna do something silly and goofy, I think it works better when it was like more like 22 minutes as opposed to 27, 28 minutes.
Hmm.
I don't think if it's a goofier premise, I don't think it can carry as long.
Yeah, that has been a trend with this season, and it has. I mean, I enjoyed Carrie and Death. I enjoyed one or two more than you did. Like I didn't hate the Trap, for example, or even the first one, Love to Death. But even those were kind of like guilty enjoyment rather than actual good. Carrie and Death is the only one that I
Yeah.
really kind of get into. Hopefully, we hit some other good stuff
Yeah.
soon.
Really, every episode at least has, for the most part, some enjoyment stuff. Like it's not like I didn't get any enjoyment off of this episode. Um, I just really, I don't know. I like the less comedic ones, the less goofy ones. Which, admittedly, you could say that a lot of Tales from the Crypt is goofy and funny,
I would
but
argue that there's none that are completely without it. That they all have a tinge of
at least, yeah,
black
a little
comedy.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think there's a single episode, at least so far, that I can think of that felt
Mhm.
like full on serious, like no hints of like a
sure.
you know.
Yeah, there's always a little bit, but I think for the most part there are some that are going more for scares or creepiness, and then there are some that are going more for laughs. And it can be done well on either side, but I usually prefer the ones that maybe are at least trying to go for at least somewhat of a creepiness to them.
Yeah, I think ultimately this is a kind of middling episode that is kind of funny if you get into it, but
Yeah.
uh,
I think a problem I might also have is kind of the nostalgia factor I had from when I was a kid, because there were some episodes I remember as a kid as being like, terrifying. And then you watch them now as an adult and you're like, oh, wait, this is a show that I thought was so creepy. This, you know, uh, guy with a ponytail trying to hide his fangs, like while spinning
yeah,
newspapers.
to be fair, I don't think there's been any so far that I've thought were creepy. Like, and,
I mean, as an adult, sure.
Yeah.
As a kid, there were, some that I
oh,
thought,
I'm sure you were pissing yourself as a kid, but we're
yeah.
here. This is what it's like now. So, um, but no, that's the reluctant vampire. It's a goofier one, and I feel like I feel like we've either had a goofy one this season or we've had last week's, which was just dull and uninteresting.
Yeah, if I have the choice, I would 100% take this kind of goofier one over the one we have last week, which is just boring and stupid, and I don't even care for the story at all. At least this
Boring,
had,
and stupid.
at least this I'll take over that any day. But
if the episode could talk, it'd probably say, "No, you're boring and stupid, Tim."
And then I would invite it out to dinner and hash it out.
That's where you settle your disputes over dinner.
I'm a civilized man. I
You,
don't
you,
fight. I don't
sir,
brawl.
you, sir. I have a disagreement with. Let us talk about this over candlelight.
I do think I think it would be hard to like, really yell at someone if you're enjoying a nice meal.
Yeah. Yeah, that said, if I see someone dipping their fries in mayonnaise, I will happily yell at them.
Oh God, who would do that?
Oh, I've seen lots of people do this, Tim. It
Ugh.
is. It puts me off my food. I want to flip the table. I want to
I
flip the
would
table and tell them to piss off.
I'd go as far as to say get rid of mayonnaise like altogether in the
Yeah.
whole world.
I agree. I hate it. It's disgusting.
And the worst part about it is it's not something that you can just brush aside. Like it taints everything it touches.
Yep.
Like if I order a burger without mayonnaise and they accidentally put mayonnaise on it, it's like, well, there's no recovering this bun. Like I can scrape it off as much as I like, but this bun is tainted.
Yeah. You have to make me another burger from scratch. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can put I hate mayonnaise. I hate it with a fiery passion. I don't get it. I don't get it. Basically, most sandwiches that come pre-made, like anywhere, I can't eat most of them because people put mayonnaise in
Ugh.
every goddamn thing.
People just have no appreciate or like consideration for other people.
They don't. They don't. Every goddamn thing. All right, we're talking about mayonnaise now, so I think that's a good sign that we're ready to wrap up this review, if we can even call it that, of The Reluctant Vampire. So, Goofy won, but hey, I mean, maybe it was just last week's was so bad that I had more fun with this one, but
Without a doubt, yeah.
yeah. I was smiling generally,
I'd
except
also
when
seen this one before, so maybe knowing what was coming or something might have.
that said, legitimately my biggest complaint is the terrible wig. The wig was
Without a
pissing me
doubt.
off. Jesus.
Yeah.
But no, I'll let Michael Berryman is the Van Helsing character I like though. So.
Yeah.
That's good. So there you go. That's this week's Tales from the Crypt. Of course, let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. If you're watching this on the YouTubes, the next episode will already be up on Patreon. For those, because you get these a week early if you're on the $1 tier on Patreon. So if you want to help out the channel, you want to help out all the stuff we do and support us, you can go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and have a look at what's on offer. Of course, there's other bonuses and goals and things that will unlock more content if we hit them. But otherwise, like, subscribe, all that stuff helps us out. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates and stuff like that. Or you can get us individually on Twitter. I'm at Wibble89, Tim's at TimVerGullish, but that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching. We'll see you next time.